Hey Jaden, how are you?
Very good. How are you, Mr. Mayor?
I'm doing fine. What brings you on a nice blustery day?
Well, I wanted to talk about some topics going in Waupun right now. We haven't talked for a while.
It's been a while.
Yes.
I haven't seen you. How have you been?
Very good. I know right now what we're doing is working on the city budget for 2025. Mm-hmm. So tell me a bit about that.
It's the second year in a row. I'm pretty excited about the budget. My first year in office was a tougher budget. We had to make cuts. But as you know, we lobbied very hard and successfully with the legislature to get some more state shared revenue, which gave us a little bit of breathing room. And now this year with United Co-op coming online and starting to pay taxes, our tax increment is expanding and our tax base is growing and our city's growing. So there's a lot of really positive things coming into Waupun and they're in this budget. Our top priority is public safety. We can finally get back to fully staffing the police department. We're going to get to that 18th position, but it's not going to be a patrol officer. It's going to be a second detective. What we are finding out as the more crimes happen, having one detective is too much of a workload, especially with how complicated the cases are getting. We do work with the counties a lot, but they're in the same struggle we are. So I'm very excited to get the police department to 18 officers to have that second detective to help solve crimes quicker, and especially the drug cases that are out there. I know you were at the meeting when we heard from the multi-county jurisdiction drug squad, and a lot of this, it's out there. Waupun's been fortunate, but it's seeping into our community too, and if we can get out ahead of that and keep the drugs from getting to our kids, I think that's a win. The second thing you'll see is we're going to purchase a fire truck. It's the ladder truck, so it's the most expensive vehicle in the fleet, but it's the current one was a 1996. Our fire department is very good. There's always a replacement schedule so that if we stick to the schedule, we're never buying a fire truck like in back-to-back years because they are expensive pieces of equipment and we need to have them spaced out. So we think ahead and we're going to be able to go ahead and get the order placed for that. It'll probably take us 4 years to get the new truck, but at least we've got it ordered and it's on the list, and it'll be a nice new thing for our fire department. And like I said, the current truck has reached 30 years old and it's only getting older. And one cool thing I learned is because of Waupun Fire Department and how good and professional our volunteer department is, people's homeowners insurance is slightly less than Waupun because of, forget what category that was in, but it was a neat thing to learn that Waupun's really fortunate to have such a good fire department, and we always have. And I think that their volunteers and their call volume keeps going up. So moving forward, one of the challenges will be fire and EMS as we get more 911 calls for fire complaints and help. This is not unusual to any other city our size. You know, Beaver Dam went through it a few years ago, probably a decade now, but as Waupun is, I always say we're gonna have some growing pains. As the city gets bigger, we can't always do things the way we used to, but that's okay. We're cool at that. So I'm pretty excited with the budget. For those wondering, like big construction projects, we're gonna do the other half of the Rock Newton Loop. That'll get done. We will continue widening Harris Creek. Hopefully that helps with some of our flood management. We're trying to get those houses out of the floodplain over there. That would be good for them and good for the city as a whole. This is budget 2 is another step in the direction on how I want the city to grow. For example, we're not there yet, but it looks like with United Co-op coming on and the growth in the business park, we can get the Shaler Drive from Main Street to 26 within the next 3 years. I wanted it done yesterday, but I get it, I need the money. But I keep pushing. And then you're gonna see the city investing in some of our city-owned properties. So as everyone probably knows by now, because we had the election, this building got hit by lightning, so the elevator got blown out. We're going to replace the elevator. We're putting a new roof on here. We're doing tuck pointing and roofing at the County Library where the museum is. They're the 2 old buildings downtown Waupun that the city owns, and we're going to invest in them and keep them going just to keep up with all those downtown business owners who are investing in those old buildings and making Waupun look great again. And the old senior center is up for sale. I can't say too much yet, but I'm excited where I think that's going to go. So you're going to continue to see downtown Waupun have it going on. Some more commercial apartments. We're working on some multifamily housing out by the Heritage Ridge truck stop area. So there's a lot happening, and I'm excited about it. I did a radio interview last week. And one of the questions that kind of came out of nowhere, Jaden, was, for the next budget, what do you think the challenge is going to be? And I had to think a second. I'm like, I don't know yet. So like for this budget, we're gonna spend $24,000 on engineering to look into some of the flooding issues on Hazel Lane and Edgewood Drive, which a year ago now I wouldn't have thought we were doing that, but after what we went through in June, we've got issues in those spots, and I don't know what all the answers are gonna be yet. I think it's gonna be a combination of stormwater ponds, bigger storm sewer drainage and stuff like that, but anything the city can do to help residents live here and have a high quality of life, I'm pretty committed to doing that.
Right. So talk about a bit about the dam. I know that there's that issue right now with trying to repair the gate valve.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. We finally got our permit from the DNR and everything's good to go, and then it started raining like crazy. So they need the water level to come down a little bit, and then they can get in there and fix the gate valve, and it should go back to the way it was. I've had 2 or 3 residents ask me if the city should just remove the dam and if that would help with flooding issues that we have. And I did ask about that. And one of the things MSA has looked at, and that did come up, and the answer was it might help a little, but not significantly enough to remove it. What I didn't realize is how shallow most of the pond is until the water ran out. Most of it's only a foot deep. Yet in the middle there, it's 5 feet, but you've got to get out there a little bit. And if the dam's removed, it would become cattails and marshy, so there'd be no fishing, no kayaking, no canoeing. And I do think people like the recreation aspects of it. Plus, the river floods on both sides of the dam when we get a high water event. So one of the things we're looking at doing is where the end of the trail sculpture is, there's the gravel road that goes around it, that washes out on these high water events. We may take the gravel road out and put grass in over by where the pedestrian bridge over the dam is, so that way when the water level's up, the water can flow through there easier, and without having the city to clean up the gravel, dig up the road, it'll be more of a clean spillway and take pressure off the dam, and hopefully the water can exit faster. We'll have to put some sort of a parking lot or roads so people can still visit the sculpture. There's no need to move the sculpture. That stays dry up on its little hill there. So that's okay, but we still want people to be able to get to it. But we're also working to make the Veterans Wall there more handicap accessible. So that'll be a long-term plan. But that whole loop of a road may not exist. That hasn't been decided yet, but it's one of the many things we're looking at. And with the flooding issue too, Waupun Utilities is looking into the sanitary sewer and why so much water is ending up in that. I did have someone ask me if the dam is why the sewer's back up, and it shouldn't be because the sanitary sewer exits at the wastewater plant, which is on the edge of the city. It's downriver past the dam. One of the problems Waupun is having with stormwater is we have a high bedrock and we're a lower area. Like, it helps us when there's a tornado because they happen to go over, but when we get these heavy rain events, we're struggling where to put all of the water. It's not going to be easy, it's not going to be cheap, it's not going to be overnight, but I just hope people know we're taking it head on. And I mean, I hear their complaints. I was heartbroken in June when I was staying in people's basements and the water was ankle deep, and people just aren't doing anything wrong. And I know people want to vent to the mayor, and that's fine. But people were really nice too. They're like, we know it's not your fault it rained 4 inches in 4 hours or whatever. So it's just one of those things where, you know, we're trying to be proactive on it. I don't have a lot of answers yet, but I just hope people appreciate that we're investing in it.
Right, yeah. And you know, kind of a similar aspect when you were talking about the business earlier. Tell me a bit about the code enforcement for properties in town.
Yeah, we've gotten more aggressive on that since I came into office. And in a way that was a mistake, because I started talking about different blighted properties, and I was getting frustrated that we have so many business owners willing to invest so much of their own money, and yet we have these blighted properties that are in the way. Well, that turned into everybody sending me every picture or complaint, so we got a little swamped. That's okay. Sue's been really busy. We're catching up on all the building inspecting stuff. We are getting our stuff together where we're streamlining it better, we're getting the enforcement taken care of quicker, and we're having wins. You know, everyone asked me about the Golden Cup Cafe building, and I know, I've done everything I can, and I've hit a brick wall to the point the building owner even came to Waupun one day and screamed at me for an hour. I'm doing what I can. He has the right to own the building and let it fall down, I guess. There's only so much I can do. On the other side, we've had some wins. We're getting buildings downtown to take down signs that shouldn't be up. We actually took one down as the city on Madison Street last week. The property on Fox Lake Road is going to cleaned up really nice and is looking good. The little car shop across the street from City Hall, he's gotten the tire pile cleaned up. He's gotten a lot of the junky cars out of there, trying to make it look better, and I know he's saving up for a fence. So we're having small wins where everyone's trying to take more pride and appreciation in what they've got, and you're going to always have a couple of blighted properties. We're starting that program where you have to register if you're going to have an uninhabited property in the community, both private or residential or commercial, so that we as a city can keep an eye on it, inspect it, so that it just doesn't turn into like a house that's falling in on itself. And I don't know if you noticed, Jaden, but we passed that ordinance and you published it and made some of the other news too, and a couple of those empty houses in Waupun had a for sale sign pop up.
Great, yeah.
So also the city got proactive with a house on Maxon Street that someone was living in it who shouldn't, and that house was not livable. We placarded the house, we're tearing it down, so we're gonna be more aggressive. And if you remember back in the summer, someone, it's a long and interesting story, but it was, if I had hair, I'd have pulled it out, but someone beached that old RV across from the parking lot by Village Gardens. And the city ended up getting involved because the RV never moved, even though it was private property. Well, we are working on a new app, if you will, for anyone in Waupun. It's called Text Your Gov. And then the hope will be is if you come across something in the city, whether it's an RV, an illegally parked car, low-hanging branches somewhere, or some property with garbage that you think's violating, you can take a picture on your phone, you write a little text, you send it in, and then it'll go, the program will send it to the right department to enforce it, then the mayor will get a copy so I know what's going on, and then whatever alderman has that district. So just like that, the right people will all know. Because what happens now is someone will call or email or yell at me, then I take it to the department head, and they issue a letter that comes back to me and copies in that alderman. So nobody exactly knew what their role was. The police did some, the fire department did some, Public Works did some, and Sue did some. This will get us on the same page and hopefully streamline code enforcement. It's one of those unsexy behind the scene things, but it's something that I've been working on and have been passionate about, and I'm really glad where it's going.
Great, yeah, that's a lot of really good progress on
I
it.
talk too much, don't I?
No, that's perfectly fine. And then also we want to talk about the community center, which was just opened up last month.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to pick this up on your, I think this is what the new sign's gonna look like too, with the end of the trail on top. Mm-hmm. The building's gorgeous. I think now pretty much everyone in Waupun's been through it because that's where the election was. And I worked the polls. I was voluntold by Angie to help open absentee ballots. And honestly, that's a lot of fun. You even get paid something like $12 an hour. But I opened ballots with Naber and Tom Plime and Sharon Plime and Jan Harmson, and we had a system. And it's not really answering your question, but if you ever want to help out on election day, we had a lot of fun. Yeah, the new building's open for my monthly visit there. I had over 100 people. The seniors are really excited. The workout room's amazing. The new billiards pool table room is nice. The meeting space, you were there. That's huge. The building, it's a partnership in all reality. We got a federal grant. It came via the state. The city's been involved, and then private donations has been insane. The Stone Foundation was hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I should stop because a couple of different banks helped. Warner Harmson helped. Mike Warner's donation was huge. I'm doing it when I said I wasn't because I don't want to miss anyone, but so many people stepped up, even just private families like so-and-so who passed away a long time ago. Here's $200 in their name. The flagpoles, I had extra money in the budget for it because things were going so well. I said, I think it would look nice if we had 3 flagpoles, the American flag, the state flag, and the city flag. And I go, because I think it looks really nice at the utilities. I get the flagpoles up. Rolly Schrader thought they looked great. He's like, I want to help pay for them. Okay. So it's something the community really came together on, and I'm excited. One of the things in our budget is moving forward, we're going to try to add a couple part-time positions to the Park and Recreation Department so that the community center can be open more hours, especially in the winter. I can see people in my age group in an evening wanting to play basketball or pickleball or just do something to get out when it's cold and dark. In Waupun, you see people all the time in our parks or walking. from March until like now. But December, January, February, it's winter in Wisconsin, and this is something I think the community is going to really like. And it's another reason why Waupun is such a great little city to live, work, and play in. Wonderful.
And then also want to talk a bit about other ongoing events, so like Ice Fest and City Sculpture stuff.
I'm glad you asked. Just Saturday night, you were there. I emceed the final Waupun Trucking Show annual banquet. And, the truck show had 35-year run, and it was an emotional event because it was the last one. And what they ran into was just a struggle with volunteers. And that's happening everywhere. The word volunteer gets thrown around a little too much. Like, a good friend of mine her kids are in hockey, right? And so when your kids are in a sport, hockey, Little League, whatever, you have volunteer hours you have to do. Well, you're not really volunteering, you have to do it, right? Volunteering is like doing something just because you want to, even though it's costing you money and time and whatever. And that's a struggle everywhere. Kiwanis Club, Lions Club, everyone's struggling on the fire department. Like, it's something happening everywhere. And the reason I'm telling that is Ice Fest is in its second year, and it's going to be another big event, but I know they're having some volunteer issues too. So if there's anyone out there looking to do something in the middle of February where there's nothing else going on anyway, help out with Ice Fest. What I love about Ice Fest is it's such a positive. I didn't see it coming, and what I mean by that is when I first ran for this office, what was my top issue? I wanted to get us back to being the city of sculpture, honor the Shaler sculptures, run with that branding, because I felt the sculpture city is one of the two things that make us super unique. It's that and our prison heritage. And not everyone agreed with me, as you remember. That didn't exactly pass the first meeting, and it took some work to get that through. And some people were like, well, why are you so hard? Like, who cares? Well, we rebranded it, we changed the wayfinding signs. That led into Ice Fest, which has got ice sculptures. That's led into the sculpture tours that'll rotate every spring that we just kicked off a couple of months ago, that like Rosie the Riveter, that the community and National Rivet, thanks to them, are helping to keep that. And all those sculptures are for sale. If I had unlimited funds, I'd buy them all, because the farmer being over in front of the farmer's market, or the feed mills, it's great. The art studio, I hope Jenny's able to keep the girl painting. Like, outdoor public art make Waupun look better, but it builds on the Shaler legacy, and I think that's a really cool time. Waupun's got a lot of history. It's got neat history. Clarence Shaler, for most of his life, was one of the top 3 or 4 most influential Wisconsinites. The Shaler Company was worldwide. National Rivet was super important during the World War II effort. Burr's got a really cool portrait of how it was almost fenced off like a prison, and you had to show credentials to get in and out because it was under such tight security. And these are really cool stories about Waupun that kind of, like, Jim Laird knew it, but no one else did. And I was so excited to talk about Waupun history and our heritage, and to see the community embrace it and run with it. Like, when I first ran for mayor, I said, I think we should fly the city flag at city buildings. And people were like, we have a city flag? Yeah, it only flew at 2 places. So now you see it all over. And I think it's cool. I think the pride that people have in Waupun is coming out, and I know people pick on me because I maybe like Waupun a little too much, but yeah, I do like Waupun, and I think people who live here like it too.
Absolutely. And then one more thing I want to talk about is about business development and stuff when it comes to like the Shaler Drive. Where do we already cover that? I think we already did, actually.
The business development?
Yeah, on the Shaler Drive thing. I think you already mentioned.
Well, Shaler Drive, I think we've got, okay, that's a good one to end on. So I mentioned earlier I've been trying to get Shaler Drive through. That has been frustratingly slow to me. I can't sugarcoat it because it's not done. It's going to happen. It's just not as fast as I wanted. And I'm hoping next year, but it's probably 2 years down the road. But now that United's on and you're seeing the development in the truck stop area, the truck wash is almost open, the Mulder building's gonna open. We've got housing coming in there, a couple more businesses that are interested in there, all phases up and going. You're gonna see that continue to grow around that curve. And there's a couple of interesting businesses looking too on the west side of the city. So there's a couple of good projects coming on that. Oh, and one thing I'll clear up, the empty lot next to Stop Plumbing, veterinarian clinic was looking at building there, and the company changed hands, and the state of Wisconsin has not been letting them put a driveway into 49, so that project isn't going to happen. The city didn't have anything to do with that. We were we were totally supportive. We've been working with the state to get the driveway onto the state highway. The DOT can sometimes be frustrating, but I had a lady call me up upset. Why did the city stop that? We didn't do that. I know everything becomes the city's fault, but I just want to get that out there that the city of Waupun, and especially while I'm the mayor, we try to be as supportive of everything as we can. Like even the Rage Room coming on the corner of Main and River, I don't really know what they are, but it's her business and her investment, and she's willing to give it a go. And so at the Plan Commission, I put a little weight on it, like, let's see how it goes, and if we have problems, we can deal with it then. But I really want Waupun to be open for business and to be a community where people want to come, and people are excited. The new brewery's going to open soon, or brew pub, I'm supposed to call it that. So there's just a lot of good things happening, and one of the things in the budget too is next year we're going to redo the back alleyways on the north side of Main Street from Mill to Madison, clean out a lot of the utilities, make the parking lot one way, clean up the traffic flow, just make it easier to get downtown and park and hang around.
Perfect. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
I think I've said enough.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Thank
but
you.
I don't think I got myself in trouble.
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jaden.
Yep. Thanks for having me over.
Yeah.